So, there's this question, or I guess observation, that I've been getting quite a bit as of late. Normally this is the kind of thing that's best reserved for a community post, but a surprising amount of people have been asking me about it, and I do suppose it's worth a bigger discussion. Simply put, a lot of people have been wondering why I haven't used animated atrocity or admirable animation on most of my video titles this year, and the last year, the most obvious exception being a re-edit of Certifiable Supersitter. And sometimes this observation is even phrased in a way that I haven't made an admirable or animated atrocity in the past 2 years. I've obviously been making a lot of cartoon reviews, that's still what this channel's about, and most likely what it will always be about. And I suppose that I should just come right out and state the obvious. I am still making admirable animations and animated atrocities. They're just not titled admirable animations or animated atrocities. The Fairly OddParents reboot video was an admirable animation, in all but name, and the Wish review was an animated atrocities, in all but name. The Toy Story 4 video will be an animated atrocity. The most obvious reason for why this is it's the YouTube game, really. This here is my living, and I need to do what I can to grow the channel in the best way that I can. And a big part of that game is the video names and the thumbnails. Personally, I'm a very set it and forget it person. And if my intrigue was the only thing that factored into what I was doing, I'd upload a video starkly about whatever the video was, like Wish review, and make no thumbnail whatsoever, just letting YouTube decide what it looks like. But this whole production is about more than my intrigue. I have to sell these videos somehow. That's a big part of my job. And I totally understand that a lot of people hate what YouTube videos and titles and thumbnails have become. You know, the worst thing on the internet. This thing is insane. With those shock words. It's tacky, and it's a part of the internet's degradation, but it does work. Beyond that, the current internet ecosystem doesn't really support a specific series name, especially one that's been going on for over 200 episodes. The only ones that can really get away with it are the ones that are ancient. Like, more ancient than me, like The Angry Video Game Nerd, or their series is just their channel name, like Nitro Rad. And honestly, to tell you the truth, in one way I do prefer this. Throughout my history, I've come up with a lot of one-off ideas that I gave cute series names that never made it to episode 2 or 3, like Eras of Animation or Mixed Messages. And people still do occasionally ask me if I'm ever gonna do, like, another one of those series. It certainly would have saved me a lot of trouble if I did title them something like The Beginning of Animation, or Swearing Episodes in Cartoons, or a title that actually people would click on. There's an art to making YouTube titles that I am still not a master of myself, and I usually workshop it a little bit more than the 20 seconds I did to think of those, but I think you get the point. But when you get down to it, I do think that it might be best in the long run to retire these specific series titles. One criticism that I've gotten about animated atrocities specifically is that it is very old internet. Ignoring the fact that there was a time that I was worried titling a video Atrocity would get me demonetized, it's basically the quote-unquote worst thing on the internet before that kind of title was even a thing. And it paints a picture that the video is always going to be extremely harsh. And even during my earliest days, I wasn't extremely harsh on every little episode. The Wayside video is a good example of that. I find the show mid on its own, and most of the video is how it fails as an adaptation. In spirit, it's the same kind of animated atrocity video as The Legend of Korra, or my latest video, Batman Caped Crusader. Shows that aren't super duper awful, but I'm still talking about them in a negative light. And when it gets to a show that's as divisive as, say, Legend of Korra, just outright calling it an atrocity might be needlessly inflammatory. Especially these days. Admirable Animations, on the other hand, was always a confused title. Like, a lot of people would just assume that it was the positive version of animated atrocities. Like, if I had a positive view on something, that's the build-up for an admirable animation. And don't get me wrong, that was certainly a piece of it, but the series was always about finding things unique or interesting. The one thing that this piece of animation did special that most others didn't dare to. Also, because they both have the same abbreviation, I could never abbreviate them without confusing people. And this is all without mentioning that it created a very binary system. This is obvious, and it should have been obvious to me 20 years ago, but not all animations are admirable and not all of them are atrocities. Some animations are neither of these things. There's a world of cartoons somewhere in the middle that I can't call phenomenal, but I can at least call them interesting. Interesting enough to make a video about, at least. The Dungeons & Dragons cartoon comes to mind on that. For its time, it was top tier, but it's not its time. And I'm gonna have a hard time convincing people to watch a 1980s cartoon. But at some point, I still do want to talk about that cartoon because I love Dungeons & Dragons, you know what I mean? A bit more on a personal level, though, I don't really like going into making a video with a specific mindset, where Okay, this is a positive review. Let's find all of the positive things, or all of the negative things. Like, say I want to do a video about glitch text. It looks interesting. I hear it's good, but I want to see that for myself and what I really think, as positively or negatively as I really feel about it. By this point, we all know that I hate some shows that a lot of people like, but I also like plenty of things that other people can't stand. I have not gotten a single one of my friends to watch Wishpart, and I don't think that I ever will. It might take a while for some of these videos to come out because I'm also trying to figure out how to market videos about the older stuff. This is a separate but related discussion. I don't really want to be a quote-unquote animated news channel, you know, where I have to talk about the newest cartoon because it's the newest cartoon and everyone else is talking about it, so everyone is talking about it. Sometimes I really do want to talk about the newest stuff, like Fairly Odd Parents or Wish, but I think as we all understand by now, sometimes just trying to keep up with the Joneses is a very bad idea. I'll get the hang of this eventually, I'm sure. If retro video game channels can work, I'm sure that there's some kind of market for older cartoon videos. But to make a long story short, I am still making animated atrocities and admirable animations videos. Sort of. I'm making positive and negative animation reviews. I'm just not calling them admirable animations and animated atrocities. Finding Emo, the Jimmy Neutron Christmas thing, Wish, the High Guardian Spice videos, you could all call them animated atrocities. You know, if you want, there really is no difference. I call them that in my video backups that I keep on my hard drive. The Toy Story 4 video will be an animated atrocity. I'm just not going to title the video Animated Atrocity. I'm going to find something that works well with the YouTube ecosystem. And that does remind me, there is this other thing that's been on the back burner. That grand Animated Atrocities 200, the Boss Baby review. It will come out at some point, I promise you that. I've gotten a good deal of the assets that I spent a lot of money getting, so that video better come out at some point. I'm planning on doing both of the Boss Baby movies, hopefully back to back, and the second one is a Christmas movie for some reason, so I'm hoping to make it this year's Christmas special thing, but at this point, the best laid plans of mice and men. Anything could happen. And yes, my personal trouble with milestones is another good reason to retire a series name. I'm just one guy here. I'm spearheading a small team, but I'm still only one guy. And I'm improvising the entire show as I go. I don't have this dedicated team to research what works on YouTube. I drive the boat with my observations, and I get steered by my current of revolving interests. I am trying to be more professional as time goes on. You know, if I say I'm doing a video, I try to get the video done. But the keyword is try. I'm working on it. Sorry about the update. I don't know if this was interesting, how it plays with the algorithm, but I do hope that you're having a good day. I have to watch Toy Story 4 now, which is the movie that destroys everything I've ever loved.
Look at all these free samples. You see this can opener, Hank? This is also a door opener. Wow.